Hello. I just wanted to talk about the fact that it is so clear that they don't know us and they're actively trying to understand us. And that is exactly why we're all watching these interviews, we're all reading these articles, we're all listening to these hot takes by these people in establishment, and we're like, huh? And everybody in the comments is in agreement and they're like, what? And then we hear a normal person talk and we're like, oh yeah. They don't understand us. They are actively trying to, by putting out these videos, by writing these articles, and then seeing what the reaction is of the people, because they're like, wait, fuck, where are the people at? Where are the people at? Because they have lost the plot. They are separated. It is very easy to understand who is not engaged with the lived experience and the lived reality of working people, of people who suffer under this current system, based off of the narratives that they speak. Because everybody is watching this Graham Plattner guy, right? Just like how everybody was watching Zoran. Most people. Now, I will acknowledge that if you're coming from certain communities, from certain backgrounds where there's a lot of fear mongering happening, you might feel differently. But even a normal person can hear those people who are against these types of people and still understand why. Because we still understand what's happening. I don't hear the Jewish people who were upset with Zoran and nervous about Zoran and be like, what's wrong with them? I completely understood it. The same way I completely understand a lot of the Jewish people who are afraid right now and who are still feeling very pro-Israel. I personally am not somebody who doesn't understand those people. I completely understand what's happening there. They are being abused by their government, and they are having their historical trauma, the genocide of Jewish people during the Holocaust, and the overall oppression of Jewish people. They're having that weaponized against them. Their government is practicing anti-Semitism against Jewish people, and they are framing it so that Jewish people feel like the only people they have are themselves. They're isolating them. And then everybody else, nobody is helping when they're like, what's wrong with you? Why don't you understand? Of course they're scared. Now me, I completely understand that because I'm a normal person with normal, emotional, healthy, functioning skills. I can see why they're scared. I can see what's happening. It's not hard to understand why they're reacting that way. They're afraid. They are afraid. They don't feel safe. When you don't feel safe, this is how you behave. It's not irrational. It is completely normal. We have to remember, these are human beings. We're animals. We're creatures. We are reacting at all times. We are not robots. You cannot be programmed a certain way and then suddenly it's just like this. No, you have your base instinct. And if you have been taught that this is home, that these are your people, and then now you're seeing your people and you're seeing that you're under attack, and then your home base and your people who are supposed to protect you are telling you you're under attack, you're going to be scared. And you are going to want to protect your people. It is just normal. It's completely normal. So no, it's not confusing why certain Jewish people are reacting the way they are. That's not confusing to me. I don't understand why people get confused about that. To me, it's like, are you guys okay? Do you not see their humanity? You can see the humanity of Palestinians and Jewish people at the same time. You really can. It's very easy to do if you're present and if you have empathy. Anyways, my point is you can see that they are actively trying to figure out where we stand, and at the same time trying to paint the narrative while consistently being told, sweetie, that's not the story. Like with this Graham Plattner interview. And I respect the journalist because she's got to ask the question she has to ask. I don't know her story. I don't know what's going on with her life. I have no idea what's going on with her. I don't know what she's dealing with within the New York Times office. I know the New York Times is under fire right now. I know they're in a bad place. They've definitely lost the trust of so many people who would have 10 years ago been considered liberals, and it's really bad for the New York Times right now. And it's actually shocking. I'm 25, going on 26 like in a month or two, and I remember when the New York Times was that girl, you know, like the go-to newspaper for liberal media. And back when being liberal was something that a lot of people resonated with. It's like I was talking to my sister. I remember when Americans were associated with Obama. Americans are now associated with Trump. You know, Americans have always been considered in the global sphere. People always make fun of Americans and call them stupid, call them uncultured, things like that. But the way Americans are seen today, politically, is nothing like it was. I can't even say 10 years ago, because 10 years ago was 2016, which is when Trump came, which is crazy. But let's say 15 years ago. 15 years ago, Americans were associated with Obama, and people love Obama. People loved Obama. I don't know. There's also a shift around Obama, which is, look, no one's safe. It's a hard time right now. There are no idols. There are no idols. No matter what all the fear mongering, don't idolize. There are no idols. No one is safe. No one is safe. You know what I'm saying? I'm not safe. You're not safe. No one's safe. Zoran's not going to be. Everyone can go. That's where people are at right now. Everyone is in a place where it's like, if I find out something about you I don't like, it's over. Like, people think cancel culture isn't real. It's very real. It's very real. It's happening. And the New York Times is actively, slowly dying. They're being canceled by their base. That's what's happening. And very soon it's going to start happening to the far right. They're going to start getting canceled by their base because the working class movement is growing. It is developing. And it's so scary. It's so scary for these people because they don't know what to do. Because when you stop being able to separate people by, conservative versus liberal, or Republican versus Democrat, or white versus black, when you stop being able to do that and you bring it down to work, which is something we all can relate to because they have made money the universal language, which means work is the universal language, which means the working class is the universal message. It's the thing that connects us all. What are they going to do? What are they going to do? Because you can take them out, you can take this person out. There's always going to be a working class person. As long as money is important, the working movement will always be significant. It will always be something to rely on. It will always be a uniting force. That's scary to them. Because in order to then break down the working class movement and completely delegitimize it, you have to delegitimize money, which is their source of power. How are you going to delegitimize money? You'd have to remove your own power. That's what the establishment would have to do. They would have to remove their own power. How are they going to do that? Because what power do they have if it's not money? What power do they have if it's not money? It's not much. You see what I'm saying? They're not a lot of people. I'm just saying. It's very clear that they're trying to actively write the narrative while also trying to adjust the narrative to fit what we're saying, but they don't understand what we're saying. They don't hear us. They're not connected. They're missing. And part of the problem is algorithms. Their algorithms aren't even connected to our algorithms. The things they created to try and control us are working against them because now they're completely disconnected from the conversations that we're having. And so when they put out media, when they put out messaging, they're always off because they don't know the conversations that we're having because their algorithms are not synced with ours. So everything, all of the things that they're creating, it's all working against them. I can't imagine how frustrating it is. I can't imagine how frustrated they must be. Part of me feels kind of bad. Not really, but I feel a little sad, like a little bad for them because it's like, damn, life comes at you fast. Life comes at you so fast. Because you think they're not trying to pick up the messaging and know they don't know it. They're not involved with the working people. They don't know what we're doing. They don't, and that's the craziest thing, because everybody's paranoid about tracking. And if it was such a big deal, they would be able to control the narrative. They can't control the narrative. They can't even control the narrative, and all we do is talk online, and they still don't know what we're saying. They still can't even pick it up. Did you know that your comment section is tailored to your algorithm? I had no idea. I thought that we were all seeing the same comment section. They fucked with it too much. They've specialized this too hard, and now they can't even break out of their own niches. They're screwed. They have no clue what we're thinking. They don't know what our plans are. That's the problem. And now the plan is becoming public, like wealth taxes, like increasing wages, like all of these things. And we're having public figures rise up, and they're like, wait, what the fuck? And so they're scrambling, trying to react. They're too late. And they're like, this is what the people wanted? I had no idea. They can't even grab somebody to come fetch and develop an idea around what the people want. They don't know what the people want. They're completely disconnected. It's actually crazy how much their own system has turned on them. And still, there is this push to make you afraid of AI, make you afraid of algorithms, make you afraid of tracking, make you afraid of lack of privacy. And it's like, but girl, all this information, we're in the age of information, and they can't find the plot. They can't catch the plot. They don't know the story. They don't know what we're talking about. They don't know what our plans are in the age of information, when everything is online, because of algorithms, because of how specialized and niched out and separated they are from us. They don't know what we want. They're always late. They're always behind. They're always like a season or two behind. You can see it even in the TV shows that are being produced and written. The messaging is always like 2 years back from what we're talking about today. You never see a TV show that is actively discussing what we're discussing right now. And that's because it's not being written by working people. Well, I won't say that about all of it, but I'm just saying, like, they're tapped out of the working class. And that is a good thing. That's a good thing for us, because it means they can't, like, you can't, how are you supposed to disrupt when you don't know what to disrupt? They're like shooting blanks. You see what, like, they're with their eyes closed. And the dangerous part about that is that they're shooting with their eyes closed. So they don't know where to aim. So they're shooting aimlessly. And they're willing to take out whoever they can take out because they're scared. So they're willing to do what they're desperate. So that is a scary thing, because it's never fun when you have a desperate person with a gun in their hands. You know what I'm saying? But it's a big deal that they can't catch the plot. That's a huge deal. In the age of information, with social media this and social media that, and tracking this and tracking that, and no privacy this and no privacy that, and they don't know what the plan is, and they don't know what the people want. And we keep telling ourselves, oh, they know what we want. They're just not, they have some, I don't think they know, you guys. I think they quite literally don't know. In the age of information, they don't have the knowledge. It's so funny. It's actually really funny. It's actually really, really interesting and very funny. In the age of information, in this technological age, they have just created AI, all these chatbots that can dig through all of history, all of our internet history, which contains a lot of our actual history. And they can't figure out where we're going. They can't figure out what we're thinking. That's crazy. That's how disconnected they are. They locked themselves out of their own system. And it's like they're like trying to fucking find, they're about to make this shit crash, trying to fucking pick the lock and hack the system to get back in and figure out what we're talking about. And then you're dealing with Gen Alpha and Gen Z, who are so humor-based in our reactions and so sarcastic and so metaphorical that even in our responses, when we're telling them what we're talking about, We're not giving all the layers. Everything is still at a distance. That's the gift of Gen Z, and I imagine Gen Alpha and the generations that are going to come after. Everything is disguised. That screen that we're working through, yeah, that's really manifested in the way that we communicate. And it's making it even more difficult for them because we're not saying what we actually think and what we actually feel. And so they can't break through. It's bad. It's bad for them. I'm sorry. It's really bad for them. I don't even know what to say. I'm like, damn. I was just really starting to think about it, and I was like, wow, they're locked out of the system. Yikes.